Okay. I'm not actually sure if I'm live right now. It says so, but I don't know if I believe it. I had some internet problems, so sorry for the delay. It's 10:06, and I'm starting my stream that should have started at 10:00. And welcome to the stream. I just wanted to say thanks for watching. This is like a new thing for me. I have no idea what I'm doing. All this is kind of haphazardly put together. But I thought that I would, since I have this new thing where every Friday I don't work for my normal employer, and I work for myself on this thing called eGamebook. I thought I would give you a little bit of insight, and I would like share what's going on, and maybe even motivate myself to work on this a little harder. Let me check if can anyone like. You are live. Yes. Awesome. Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. So, thanks again for watching. And let's talk about eGamebook, and let's see if I can do this. Okay. So, I have been working for too long, way too long, on this thing called eGamebook, and obviously not always was this that I have a full 1 day a week. Before it was like 1 or 2 hours per month or something like this. But basically, it's a weird mix of text adventure and like a normal computer RPG. And what I mean by that is that it's like if you go to gamebook.com, you can see it in one of the prototypes that I have. And it lets you play this thing as if there was a dungeon master giving you input or what's happening in the world, and then you can choose options, and then there's an element of chance, which means that sometimes you fail in things that you do, and you can reroll and stuff like this. And the big thing that I always say, and I even have it on the channel here, is it's like Skyrim in rendered in text. And what I mean by that is that it looks like, if you look at it from far enough, it looks like a regular game book or choose your own adventure, where you have a few options, and then you have paragraphs of text that someone pre-written, right? But it's these things are not pre-written. These are actually things that are kind of rendered text, as I call it. Similarly to, I have this diagram here where like both like Skyrim and other computer RPGs have this internal representation of what's happening on the screen, and then they render this in either 2D or 3D graphics, right? What I'm trying to do is, instead of having a pre-written choose your own path story, I have a simulation similar to what they have, but instead of rendering it in here in graphics, I render it in text. And so lots of these are actually like, in this prototype, all of the paragraphs here are put together by a natural language generation system, and they just work like that. So that's the main idea, and I think that I want to get to programming quickly, but to me this is important because I'm a big fan of tabletop role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons and Dungeon World and Numenera and all these other things. And I thought like that for technical and historical reasons, all these things came to the computer in a way, right? Like if you see like Ultima 1, it's basically you won't hear anything, but like it's mostly the table, that what's happening on the table. Like they converted, or Richard Garriott converted mostly like the kind of the mechanics and like the numbers here and the map, right? But if you play a tabletop role-playing game, you don't only look at the map, you also talk about stuff and like what happens when and where, and how you act on this, and that is often, instead of like put into, instead of acted in real life, you talk about it. And so I thought that maybe there is a way to transform this this experience a little more, instead of about numbers and about the map, more about the things people talk about. So this is basically it. As you can see, there's almost no numbers, and this won't be there. So almost no numbers, no map, or almost no map, and instead it's more about narrative and talking about what's happening in the simulated world. All right, I have a feeling that maybe there are some interesting chat here, and yeah, cool. People are I wanted to say, if you can't access the chat, or if you're seeing this from a recording, that's fine. But if you're in the chat, you can actually, I set up my bot to give little hints. So if you ask about something that you don't like, that I kind of drop, which is mostly about eGamebook itself, like for example, where does the code live, and what the hell is even like this all about, then you can ask in the chat. There are, if you do exclamation point commands, it will give you all the things that the bot knows. And hopefully, yes, I see Rohan already is doing this. So cool. All right, it's so cool to be live like that. Cool. So I want to go into programming as soon as possible, but I thought, wait. So I was talking about how we're not doing numbers that much. We're doing more about like text. Here's the current. As you can see, it's very slow because my computer is trying to stream as well as everything else. But you can see that, I have this thing where you can, in this case, we're, fighting with a goblin. And the goblin is, in this case, it decided there's an artificial intelligence behind this. So it decided to, feint the jab. We can counterattack, and we succeed actually. And then that gives us another option, and it's like all linked together, right? So there is some kind of thing. I can stand up. I can take the dagger, I guess, and then go after the goblin. Throw my dagger. That's gonna fail. No. Wow. See, and so this is how it works. This is the cool part that I'm not going to work on today. This is the client. This is in Flutter, and it's a mobile app, right? But for these development sessions, I have this thing, which is basically what you see here, but in on the command line. So I'm not sure if you can see it well. Hopefully yes. But I can just say, oh yeah, I want to fight with an orc and a goblin, and things are happening here, and everything is way faster, and I can also cheat. So for example, here I have only a 60% chance of impaling the goblin that just jumped at me. I have a sword in hand, but I can say, I can, instead of pressing enter, I can press S, and that is an automatic success. I can press F, that's an automatic fail. So I can test things like, okay, so what happens when I succeed here? Right, and I swing the sword between myself and the goblin, and he lunges right into it. The sword bores through his body, and he goes down. He stops moving, so we have him out of the thing. You will also see here we have this little tree of commands. Here we don't have it. We just put everything in one large list, which is fine. And again, this is super fast and super good for me to test things out, instead of going here and clicking or putting into it on my device. At some point, obviously, I will need to switch fully to the device, but right now, I'm doing mostly the internals and the game logic. So that said, I am going to quit the simulator. And I am going to leave this running. Okay. Let's look at the code. So today we'll be, okay, let me check the would love to know more about the natural language processing. Yes, and one of these days I will have a video about that, because I really need to refactor it. That's the oldest system, I think, in the whole game, is the natural language processing unit, and it's very it has taken a lot of work to put it where it is, but it could be completely refactored, rewritten, and made much more powerful than it is today. It is somewhat serviceable, as you can see. So whenever I talk about storyline, that's what this is. If you do in the chat, if you do storyline question mark, then that's that. It will give you the code to this, and so we could go here, and wow, this is pretty slow. Okay, so storyline is the system where you give it, like, you can say, hey, like, subject touches subject sample, and that will rewrite into a sentence, and that then it will like paste the sentences together in a way that feels almost natural. Okay, so today, what we're going to do is, maybe this is distracting, so let me try and do this. No, that doesn't work. Let me see. All right, so today we are going to talk about, or we are going to be implementing necromancy, and basically turning someone undead, and all the things that pertains, right? So the reason for that is, again, I'm trying to build a system that is less about numbers and more about like what I call it, like, not massive effects, come on, radical effects, yes. So radical effects to me are super important, because otherwise, if I don't have radical effects, then it's all incremental, and incremental means numbers, right? So if I have a fight between two people, and one of them and I have only a similar system like most computer RPGs, then it's like I slash the enemy, and the enemy is 10% less healthy, which is weird in prose, right? Like it really doesn't like sound well. You either want the enemy to like fall down, or to like lose his arm, or to lose his neck, or whatever, right? So like radical changes to the world that are understandable. Like if someone tells you, oh, this enemy is only 50% health, what does it mean in the real world? You don't know. But if I tell you, oh, this person got his hand chopped off, then you kind of know like what that means. They will probably not be picking up a sword anytime soon. They're probably in pain, and blah blah blah, right? So radical effects, and that brings me the possibility to do these like entertaining and also meaningful fights and choices, right? Like you can be fighting the goblin, and then you can choose, like, do I stab his torso, do I stab his eye, and all this, instead of being just like, oh, okay, I just like attack and then like wait until his hit points go to 0, and I win, right? And for that, it's really cool to have for the player to have some radical powers as well. And by radical powers, I mean things, again, that don't just like, sword +1 or something like that, but something that like changes the state of the world in a understandable way. And that is necromancy to me. So in the game that I'm building, the player character is necromancer, and they are whatever, they're there. I will not go into the plot of the game, but they are like a young necromancer, and that means that they can raise people and corpses from the dead, and that gives me a lot to work with, because suddenly if someone falls and is dead, you can just like turn them undead, and put them back into the fight. And again, this is understandable, and it's cool, and it's something that you can work with. It's also because I have all these systems. I have like a full anatomy there that lets you like chop off hands and heads and legs and everything else. I want not only you as a player character to do this to other to the monsters, but I also want monsters to do this to you. And if I allow a monster like an orc to suddenly chop off your hand, then that would be basically game over, right? Like in normal cases. So I was like, okay, let's make it so that the player character is basically like an amazing healer. That you can, if you want, if your hand is down on the ground, you can grab it and you can put it on your back, and then you can heal it, and it just works, right? So and I could make it that this is like healer things, but it makes more sense for me that you are a necromancer, and to me, or in this world, necromancers are basically like the top of the top healers, right? If you can, like, if you're a good healer, you can heal wounds. If you're a good necromancer, you can heal death. So that like that to me like is above healing. So anyway, so now we have this this narrative and this way to kind of explain that you can have all this like kind of brutal, to be honest, fight, and in the end you can just kind of put yourself back together and go explore more. Cool. So that's why we're doing this. It's not just because like I love necromancy or whatever. I also so let's go to coding. I said this 10 minutes ago and I'm still not coding. So today we're going to be doing making undead. Okay. So the first thing is we need the game system to understand there is a different like type of living that is undead. You know, because I want the undead characters to, for example, to like not scream with pain, which that is weird to me. If you have like a zombie and you you know, put like poke it with a sword and it will be like, oh, that's not what undead do. Undead are these like kind of robotic like terrible monsters that just want to like everything else to die, right? So they shouldn't be screaming with pain. So that's one thing. And also we just kind of, we need to make sure that this is simulated so that if someone's dead, they are probably not going to like join your party. But if they're undead, you can bring them with you. You know, like there's basically, instead of just having the dead and the living, we now need the dead, the living, and the undead. And that's probably it. So we're looking at a random action here, but we want to be looking at actor. So actor is this class. I don't know if I want to go into the immutability of these things, but basically the game world is simulated, and at every point I can like kind of bake it into an immutable structure, which I am using the build value thing. And in Dart, you don't need to know Dart at all, by the way. But I'm working with this kind of. It looks overly complicated, but it gives me some cool things to work with. So instead of just like adding a new field to the actor, I will need to be a little more careful about this. So anyway, so here we have actor. We have things like is player, is invincible, which means basically it's plot armor. That like it's when you are exploring with someone we know that cannot die. We can give him his invincible flag, and they will, for that part of the journey, they will not be able to die in any way. So that makes it nicer and less frustrating for the user. Survivor is just anyway. So these are all these flags, and we want to basically add. Well, one of them is alive, and that is basically. Oh, okay. So it's just like. We do have internal hit points, and I wonder if we really want those. Yeah, maybe. Oh, okay, interesting. So we could have basically is animated. So what I'm trying to have is this way to get to find out from all over the place. We're asking like, is this person or actor alive, right? So like here we're asserting that we're trying to kill someone or inflict pain. If we're inflicting pain on someone who is not alive, that's probably a bug. So we would throw an error here. Right, in other places, well, let's see. Yeah. What is this? Yeah, okay, here we're again an assert. I do a lot of asserting because I want things to fail fast. This is basically saying, hey, if the actor, after something happened, this is after like a fight, after a fight, if we find out that any of the actors in the world is both invincible and not alive, then that's a problem. Then something bad happened. And these asserts are here because I have a pretty good like testing infrastructure. So I can just like let the system play itself for hours and just try all these things. And so if there is a way to get this, so these were just the tests. What's the skip? Oh yeah, run skipped. If there is any way to get into this stage, then I will probably get there. I'm gonna stop this because this is probably going to be way too slow, considering that I'm running a stream here. But see, these are like all basically full games played by the system randomly, kind of fuzzy testing the whole system. And if there was any way to get to the asserts, that would be probably found with one of these things. Okay. Right. So we need to have, I think, 2 flags or 3. Right now, until now, it was very simple. You were either alive and you were walking around and joining people and talking to them and whatever, or you were dead, right? And now, as I explained, we have this notion of being undead. And it does not work for some things. Like, for example, if you want to inflict pain to someone, if they are alive, they will probably act as if they are hurt. If they are not alive, if they are dead, then obviously they will not be hurt. And if they are undead, they will also probably at least act differently, but maybe not even like act on the pain at all, because they don't feel pain, right? They're animated corpses. So I thought I would have something like pull get is animated, which is basically saying is the actor walking and just like doing stuff? Are they animated? And in basically any other scenario, I think this would be very misleading, because it would be like, oh, they're animated as in like animated character, right? But because this is an internal logic of a game world, then I think, I hope that it will be less confusing. So I have this is animated, which you check most of the time, but because most of the time you don't care if they are undead or not, right? You care if they are if they are walking around or not. And then we can have another flag, which is basically which could be something like is undead. Yeah, I'm guessing that makes sense, right? Is undead. It is weird to have something that says is undead, because it's basically double negative. But well, I mean, no, it's not. Well, undead is almost looks like alive, but we all know that undead is undead. So okay, cool. All right, and I think undead characters can have hit points if we still keep hit points, and I think we won't touch this part of the code yet. Hit points probably means it's animated, so even undead characters can have hit points. So I'm gonna just like put everything here animated, and documentation, right? So for the Kunaziers in the audience, I have a build script that like does a lot of heavy lifting in this book, or in this project. And so anytime I change something like this, it will rebuild stuff. I have my own little scripts that like change my little internal text, almost like a not a programming language, but like a markup language that I use for writing some of these things. And then I have the build value and all these other things, and they all work together to get to generate some source code that I don't need to do then. All right, so this is animated. The actor, this actor went through. Wow, I can't. Went through. This actor can move around, attack, and so on. They can be either alive or undead. Okay. So I never documented is active, but is active is when this is mostly true. The flag exists so that we can have actors waiting to be activated. For example, a scripted event can an actor created at the start of play can become active much later, right? So this is for things when you're like, okay, at the start of the game I want to initialize the king, and the king is like the first half of the game, the king is lying in bed and doing nothing. So we can say that they're not active from the start, and then at some point we can flip this bit and make them active. I'm not sure if I'm actually using it that much, but it seems like something that I used quite a bit before. So maybe we'll keep it. I'm definitely using it a little, so I can just remove it, and it wasn't documented until now. Let me check the chat. Okay, people are build value. Yes. Filip loves necromancy. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. I just dead, undead, alive. Okay. Instead of 2 flags, what's your opinion on having an enum with the status of the actor, dead, undead, alive? I like that. I think that was one of my ideas. Thank you, Fanetos. That at the beginning, but then I realized I have a getter that has hit points in it, and so like this is a getter. It's not an enum. It does make sense if I remove the hit points at all, like completely, which may be possible because body parts have hit points, but the character might not need hit points. We could say, okay, we don't care about hit points. We just have this flag or enum that goes from animated or undead to dead to alive and any other way. I think that makes the most sense. Yes. That said, dart enums are nice, but they're not serializable in build value. So we would have to create a new like enum class, which is pretty easy, and I have a bunch of these here. But yeah, I just need to make sure that everything here is serializable, and bools are definitely serializable. But very good point, and we can revisit. I'll answer one other question because it's something that I don't I wouldn't expect. Dominic is asking if I'm using a standing getters, and I'm not. I'm actually sitting in like this chair. I have like I normally don't code from the kitchen, but this like if I code from the bedroom, you wouldn't see anything. It was just like just terrible. So no, I'm sitting in our kitchen table. All right, so we have animated. We made all these things, and we have some trouble here. Oh, okay. So we have this is alive. Because we are using, I think, an entity. Oh, okay. So is animated has been true if actor is alive. Okay. So where does this go from? Is it entity behavior? Oh yeah. Okay. So we have a mix-in entity behavior that provides some cool things, and we want to say this is animated, right? No, you know what is animated, and excuse me, a report. Okay. And by cool things I mean one single forwarding method, but it's pretty cool to be able to maybe you saw it before, to be able to say like instead of storyline at subject isn't fooled, and then the subject is someone, and then object is someone, I can just say that the actor is already subject, and this is actually really nice, even though it's such a simple thing here. Anyway, I don't think this made much sense. Okay. All right, what was I? Oh, okay. We also need to run dart format. Where do we run it? For example, here. And that should take care of that. Okay. And I think we just added the we just renamed the flag, so it is animated. We also have like is alive and active somewhere, right? Is alive and active, right? So I guess, are we using it? Yeah. Okay, so is animated and active. Okay, another dart format is in order. Cool. Cool. So we have that. Let me not read chat yet because I get really easily distracted. I'll get back to you people. So we have that's the body part. That's not what I'm want to look at. So we have animated, and now we just can have right, entity. Entities cannot be undead. So let's put it here. Bool get is undead. I can type. So when true, this actor is undead. That's not very helpful. Oh, whatever. That means they. That means that when they are is animated, they will act. Does that make sense? I know what I want to say, but I don't know if it's gonna be clear to people. Basically, I want to say the fact that someone is undead does not mean that they are animated. It just means that if they are animated, they are undead. If they're dead, even if the is undead flag is on, they're dead, right? So if there is an undead, if there is a zombie and I kill it, it has the flag is undead, but it's not animated, it's dead. Yeah. Language is hard. So this field is separate from is animated. Actor can be is animated but killed. I'm sorry, is undead. So that equals false. When is undead is true. Okay, well, hopefully somehow that helps the future Filip. Okay. All right, so now hopefully for the interesting part. So we have this. Now we can run our tests and they will fail because at least some of them expect this is a non-nullable field basically, and in the implementation of build value, and that means that some of our save games, I'm running the automated system. Some of the automated systems I'm running from save games, and they will not have any value for the undead field, and so this will throw, which is good. I like when things throw because there's a problem that is probably a bug, which it is. So yeah, let's also make sure that we do this here. right? So do we want to be able to, of course we want to be able to start someone as undead. So bool is undead. There's a lot of forwarding here, but I think that's fine. Where do I put it? Is confused. Where's is confused here? Right. Is undead equals is undead. Right. So that should take care for some of these. It was 26 before, and now there should be hopefully a little less. Oh, wait a minute. No. False. Right. Now there should be a little less. Okay, well, while it's running, another question. How are you managing the state of the game? That is a very complicated question, Malthus, and I will address it, I think, at some other point. But yeah, but it is something that I do want to address. It is a complicated topic. My favorites. Cool. So yeah, now we are basically getting the error that I was talking about before. We have a save game that is that does not have the flag is undead at all. So what we need to do is we need to recreate the save game. We could modify the save game, but it's easier for me to just like go through the game a little bit and then save it and put it there. So for that I need to log, which makes things slower. So I'm playing the game in the command line interface, and I'm just gonna cheat. So I'm just gonna punch him. I'm gonna dodge, tackle, stand up, kick at weapon, pick it up, and yeah, the other, I'm in this game, which you can, by the way, you can play it over here. In this game you start with a friendly NPC. Wow, I hope am I still live? Yeah, okay. That is a very, very slow internet. Okay. Anyway, so I'm playing that game, and I normally do this, and I go to the church, altar. This is all going to be this is here just to like exercise the game a lot. So there's a bunch of things happening. So take the spear, wait, I go to the upwards right position. This is obviously not the way to play the game actually, right? It's how I play it when I test. So success, and then descend and corpse and here. All right. See how it's slow? It's slow because it's slow because there's actually a lot of simulation happening in the background. All right. That's interesting. Okay, so yeah, I can now look at the log, and oh, I haven't cleared it in a while, as you can see. That's a lot of logging. And this is the latest save. As you can see, it's basically a JSON file with all these things. There's a history of actions. Oh, I wish I had the I had the time. Next time maybe we'll be talking about the whole like state management and the history and stuff like that. All right, not now. So we need to go to save games and put it here, and hopefully now. Wait, no, not here. Now I could do. This should work. All right. Okay, another now that we're waiting, it looks good. Anathos. For the undead, can an undead have all the statuses of an alive actor, such as confused? Good question. Yeah, I think confused is actually okay. So that you're kind of forcing me to go with that. So there are some flags that, as you saw, are with the actor, and we actually change them, right? So like we can change their current room, we can change their anatomy is this full thing of other things, body parts and all that. But other things, mostly the kind of what you would expect as a flag that is there for some amount of time, like someone is confused or someone is kind of taken aback by the fact that someone poked their eye off, for example. That is not a flag because we don't want to manage way too many flags and like being like, oh, like I cannot forget to change the flag back to not confused after something happens, right? It's a very easy way to have bugs in your game, and I've had these before in previous versions of the game where, for example, I get confused while fighting with an enemy, and then I win anyway, and so the fight ends, but the ending the fight kind of forgets that I was given the flag confused, so I can never get unconfused. You know what I mean? Like it's always gonna be there. Now maybe do I? Oh yeah, wait. I'm talking about something else because I do have a flag as confused. Oh yeah. All right. Sorry. So it's confused is a flag, and I sure hope that I fix that issue. But other things are put into a history. So like, let me continue with the confused. Someone confuses you. That's a spell or like a magical thing. And when they confuse you, instead of changing something with the actor, yeah, confused about the existence of the confused flag. Extremely confused, as always. So what I think is a better option is basically saying if I get confused, there is a record in a history, kind of like a log that the game keeps about the world, and it says Filip, or like Filip's player character, was confused at this time by this person, right? And so then whenever someone wants to learn if Filip is confused, they can check the log and they can find out, oh, Filip was confused recently. And not only does it know what happened and like that I'm confused, but it also knows that like who did this, when exactly, when is it going to not be true, because some of these events can have like some time to play out, right? So I think that's the way to go for many things, and especially these like long-term effects where someone is poisoned, for example, right? You don't want to like take it around. But I have this whole article about this, and my internet is horrible, so maybe okay, I'm gonna end this because it's getting my computer a little sad. but what was it called? Man, it's on my Medium account. And I talk about like how I'll send a link or whatever, because it's taking way too long to get there. But if you have a flag, basically what I'm saying is have instead a log of events, and maybe events that like reverse these previous events. So you could have like an event like poisoned, and then an event healed his being poisoned, and you have both of these, and then you can check at any time. You can check, is he poisoned? Like when was the last time Filip was poisoned, and when was the last time Filip healed his poison? And if we can find that the last time he was poisoned was later than the one he healed the poison, or there was no healing of the poison, then we know that Filip is poisoned. And I think that's cool. Anyway, so we haven't done much, so let's actually work. We now want to be able to turn someone undead, and that's going to be an action, and that's another thing that is part of the system where you have this like state, and only actions can change the state. It sounds like, for if you're coming from web or mobile development, it sounds almost like Redux, but I have to say this came before Redux. So you have this state, and like you have only actions change the state, but obviously it's not like original. These things have existed for decades. Okay, so we can give, let me first comment. So we have add is undead, and rename is alive to is animated. Cool. I should probably show you what I'm doing, and then I want to be able to, as a player, I want to be able to turn someone who's dead to being undead. And right now we're going to do it in a fight only. It should be possible also to do this outside of fight, of course. All right, so actions, should this always be successful? In fight, it might not be successful. All right, so turn undead. So this will be turn undead extends. Wow, I have been. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. We don't need to think about those yet, but I need to import them. Oh. Okay, what do I need to... Ooh. So, this is like the bulk of the game, basically, right? Like you have, like these are the only things that can change the world state. So we are going to look at that. Combat command type is a new type, I think. Oh wait, no, it's not an enemy target action, actually. It's other actor action, right? Let's see. Yeah. Let's see if we can do this. And then we don't need, we can do this, and this means that right. Command path template. Yeah, I'll need to be stealing a lot of things. So why I'm a little stuck here is normally if I do any of these actions in a combat situation, then I can just extend the enemy target command action, which makes things easier for me. And it kind of assumes, okay, give me all the enemies, and then like we can act on them, right? But in this case, if I turn undead, then the corpse isn't anyone's enemy. So we need to have a way to do like, yeah, to act on other actors. All right. So I'm just trying to figure out if, you know what, let me see. Get command path. Right. I want to be able to say like this corpse. So that's probably environment, right? The corpse is an environment. Right. So environment object turn undead. The help message can be something like turning corpses undead will make them fight for you, which is maybe it's not the best way to spend time on a stream trying to figure out what to say in a help message. So is this aggressive? No. Is this proactive? Yes. The name. Let me just the name is turn undead. Class name. Is it rerollable? True. Reroll resource stamina. So that's what you can spend if you fail the roll once. You can spend spend stamina in this case to like try and actually win. That's a major part of the kind of the fun. Roll reason template. Will subject turn object undead. All right, apply failure. Okay. What? to turn corpse. That. So this, so each action has apply failure and apply success. Apply success, as you'd imagine, is like the function that you call to change the state when you are successful as a player. So basically, like actions are kind of like these like behaviors, right? Like they don't have their own state at all. This is why we have the singleton, which basically it should be called instance, but I started with singleton, so I'm still using singleton. So there's only ever one turn-undead instance, and it has no internal state, and it only takes things from the from some action being given, and it will apply failure, applies success. It gets the success chance for you, and it also finds out if in this particular state of events, if this is applicable, which and again, I'm a little taken aback because now I need to, I'll just fix these. So this is what I normally do. File A is from context, and here as well. And I like to throw everywhere where it's not yet done, because I don't want to, sometimes people, and by people I mean myself, will forget that they didn't implement something, and then much later, sometimes not that much later, but later they are surprised something that doesn't work. This is like, if I forget, I will immediately get that problem, and I will immediately be sad and try to fix it. So let's do this. Now I need to realize how these things are done, because what happens is the game will, at any point when there's an actor's turn, it will find out from the environment, from like the world state, what are the available actions, and then for each action it will call this method that asks the action, out of this world, what are the objects that you could be performed on, right? So for example, an enemy target action will take the world and will find out, okay, so this person is in this room, so these are the possible targets that I can target, and then it is filtered once again through is applicable, because some actions can say, well, yeah, this is a target, this is my enemy, but I actually can't perform this action because the player doesn't have something, right? So I need to figure out how to get the turn-undead action to only look at dead actors. And enemy target action, how did they do that? Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah, that's what we want. Generate objects. Cool. Yeah, that's what we want. So I'm just gonna steal it. Do we want to create an action, like a corpse action? Maybe later. So I'm debating with myself if we'll probably need this generate objects later for other places. But okay, so what we're doing here is we're getting the actors in the current situation. Hopefully right. So for example, we can do that here because by default and for good reason, fight situation will give you actors only those that are animated. So they actually can act, right? But here we want to override this and be like, no, we actually want all the actors, and then we take these the ones that are not animated, right? Okay. So I'm just gonna steal how you do it. Right. So right. Is context world. This is the immutable world. This is one of the cool things about immutability here. Like I cannot change the world within generate objects. I can only give you objects. I cannot write anything into the storyline. I cannot, add any history logs or anything like that. I can only give you back what I think are the objects that this class can operate on. Okay, so we get all the actors in the whole world. We take each actor and we only take ones that are not animated and were active. And right, and we need the situation. So I'm just gonna use final. I'm not very good at like keeping myself in either var or final, but so the situation is context world current situation as fight not fight situation, right? Because this can only happen in fight situation so far. And fight situation has these. That's the actors that are in that fight. Right. Now this is corpses. Infernal, really? Corpses. So they are active, which means they are not like hidden by the game. They are not moving or animated, and they are either they were in the player team or the enemy team when the fight situation started. So we're trying to even if there are more actors in the world around, we want to be only able to turn undead the ones that joined the fight. So we don't need this. What is this? Oh, okay. So here we were like, if the actor that we found is actually the actor that is trying to perform this action, then we're not going to give you these ones. And also don't show those that are not animated and active. So in this case, it's obvious that you can't turn yourself undead. Hopefully it's obvious. And and also if you're dead, you can't perform any action. So sorry. And we already covered this one, and we don't need to. So this one is like this one tries to. I copied from here somewhere, and that was basically, it tries to give you the actors that are enemies. And so we have this kind of getter that that will tell you who are your concrete current enemies. But no, we're actually, I think we're good. We can just return the corpses. Return corpses. Maybe later we can add other things, but I think this is fine. All right. Let me check the chat. Just right. Yeah, and I see Nightbot is actually doing its work. So thank you, Nightbot. That's the automated messaging system. Yeah. So okay, so I assume so Benethus is saying that's an interesting question. If I understand correctly, you want also to include the concept of healing, such as player got hand chopped. Now with Necromancy, he recovers the hand. Yes. So I assume that an anatomy part, such as a hand, is an actor, or this type of undead is only for whole actors. Great question, because I did not actually talk about this. So actors are entities. So entity is anything in the game that you can talk about. So it can be a log. It can be, even entity is even like a slash, so that it can be abstract. The only thing about entity, oh, actually it is active. Wow. Okay. So it has some things that I wouldn't expect for entity to have. And by the way, yeah, this is code base that I've been working on for many years. So it's often that I'm surprised by my own things. Anyway, entities by themselves have some leakage from actors, but actors are the ones that can actually change the world, right? So these are the active participants in the game world. They have anatomy, and anatomy has body parts, which starts with torso, because torso is like the body part that if torso dies, then you die, because that's where you get your heart and everything. And I think that translates well also for spiders and stuff like this. But right now I only have humanoid things. And body parts are another entity, and body parts can have other body parts attached to them. So I have the whole like kind of structure of a human body, or like a humanoid body. So that means that if I like chop off your arm, it will also obviously chop off your hand. Or if I know that you are some weird monster that has eyes here instead of here, and I chop off your hands, then you will not see, right? So like that kind of stuff. And body part is not an actor, it is an entity. So yeah, as you can see, there's some weird things that entities like can be player, and I think that's just that is not. Oh, I know why I have it there. Because of the storyline. The storyline needs to know for each entity that it's trying to generate pros for, it needs to know if it's you or not. But maybe that shouldn't be the case. Anyway, we're going into a different story. So your hat can die and the actor is alive? No, because a hat is marked as a body part that is vital. So whenever you damage a vital part in a way that it destroys, so whenever you destroy a vital body part, you will die. So yeah, you can have a vital hand for some weird monster, and then chopping off the head will kill the monster. Going back to undead. So yeah, I think this will now generate the right kinds of objects. I also want to turn undead here. How is this already imported? What is it, the new thing in Dart that they just import things? Interesting. So we have that there. All right. So I like to start with is applicable, which means I can do like, so let's say only the player is, only the player is a necromancer for now. So only the player can actually turn undead. At some point we can have a flag, and this makes sense as a flag, I think. Like not many times during a game will you like become or unbecome a necromancer. So but anyway, so like player is always a necromancer, and I think that's it. Can you turn undead if you're laying down? Sure. Can you turn undead if you're blind? Barehanded. Obviously, we already know that the player is animated if they get the choice to actually do anything. Is on ground. Anatomy. Blind. Can a blind necromancer? These are the questions that I live for. Can a blind necromancer turn a corpse undead? I think not. So any I think I can do the poll. Can I? Maybe not. Oh, okay. Good question. So Panethos is asking, generate objects looks for other actors that we can apply that action, and is applicable looks for actors that can use the action. Yes. So generate objects does not need to return actor. It returns actor because this is an action that acts on other actors. It can be, for example, where do we take drop weapon, for example, is an item action, and item actions have generate objects that return an interval of items. So basically it's like it searches the game world, and it's like okay, so what are the things that this action can act on? What is the object of this action? And then it's applicable. No, I want to go here. And then it's applicable. It's like, okay, now I have an actor, and I yeah, these are the different actors that could act, and and here's an action, turn undead, and yeah, okay, so I understand your question now. And it's like, oh, this actor is actually not a player, then sorry, you can't use this action. One of those is in the blind necromancers can still raise undead team, and that is wrong. Yes. All right, back to work. Now I need to implement the actual. So the failure will be pretty easy, I think. I can be like report. I normally have like a final as context storyline. So I can be like subject tries to raise. Yeah, this is something that I normally spend a lot more time thinking about and not talking. So from undead. So object here is the corpse. Report subject fails. Right. So this will generate something like I try to raise the goblin from the dead, but I fail. Not really great prose, and also not very varied. So varied, not always the same. So always the same prose. And normally I try to mix it up. You can do things like turn, which doesn't make sense. I try to turn the goblin from the dead now, but you know what I mean. I could have different options for the generation system to work with. Cool. So that's failure, and then I think the last unimplemented thing is success. So this is kind of the render part, right? In this case, we're just rendering something, which is like we could say something about the corpse that it like tries to stand but doesn't. So this is as if imagine this has access to like the graphics part of the system, but you can also change the actual world through the action, and so that's what we're gonna do here. This could be something like subject raises subjects hands. This could be an entity, but I think that's fine. Over object, and then corpse checks opens subjects eyes and subject stands up. This is really terrible prose, but maybe somewhere else sometime. And also, so okay, so we just kind of this is the graphics again. We just kind of rendered what's going on, but we also need to actually change the state, and for that we have we can take the output world from the storyline, and that is actually changeable, modifiable. So we want to make sure that the corpse, so update actor by ID, corpse ID, so is that, oh sorry, is undead is true, hit points is 1. Oh, we probably need to heal their vital parts. Okay. And also pose is pose max, which just means that they stand up the best they can. All right, and now I still need to somehow heal their vital parts. How do I heal their? I have the deal damage, I think. Deep replace body part, that's the thing. Oh no, I actually have is invincible. And now I think I had some code somewhere that basically did exactly what I want to do now, but maybe not. Okay, deep replace add body part it is. So turn-undead. All right, so what do we have here? The actor. So get actor. Get actor by ID, corpse ID. Here I need to be a little you know, I have to care about what I do, because it is possible to like change something in the world state, and then a few lines down also change something in the world state, but go from the previous state, and so like this will override the previous change. So that this is how is probably the safest. I just changed the world state, so then the new actor will be the raised one, not the corpse. and now I have this, and what's the victim? Right. So I can just do a raised builder. Right, and now this is obviously heal all vital parts, because if you don't have vital parts, then you die. So we need to heal them. Maybe we actually want to also heal things like eyes. Maybe not. Yeah. I mean, like, that's a good question for later. Let's see. Oh man, the internet is terrible. So let's do this. Question. Should turning undead heal legs, for example? Yeah. There's a question from Vanethos. For deep replace body part, what if an undead has a missing anatomy part, such as a hand? Will it magically replace it? No. This goes like down the tree of all the, so from torso to wherever the body ends in all directions, and if there is something cut off, it will just stop going there. So this will like replace. I see what you mean. This means, yeah, this is terrible naming probably, but this means like the body parts that are there will be replaced by the new version that I do here. Neat. Exactly. Neat. So I just need to, okay, where filter. So part is vital. Right, and B, hit points. If B hit points is more than 0, then return, but otherwise hit points equal 1. Turned. Right, I think this is the time to try this. Let's see. So we now have an action that is turning undead. We can do this. Oh, look at that. Unimplemented error. Get success. See? This is yes. This is why I do this. This is why I have the unimplemented error. So get success chance for something like turning undead. Let's see. Where can I? Yeah, I'll just steal from here. So compute turn undead. This looks confusing, probably. Oh, maybe I can't do this. I don't have an enemy. Alright, never mind. Never mind. Return. So the recent success chance will be let's see if that helps. Cool. It looks like maybe we can try playing. Yeah. All right. So I want to play. So I want to fight with the orc, and okay, good. So we have a goblin and an orc. I'm wielding a short sword. The orc tries to ruin my stance with a fainted slash. I stand my ground, and I'm cheating here. So because I want to first. Oh wow, the goblin tries to ruin my stance. I want to counterattack, and I thrust at the goblin. I thrust the sword at the goblin and he tries to dodge, but he fails. I stab his upper body and he falls backwards. Nice, he's done. Oh, look at that. Environment, the goblin, turn undead, 80% chance. So we know that if we fail turning undead, we will just get the this. You know, you try to raise a goblin from the dead, but you fail. Nothing happens. That's actually a good one. Report as nothing happens. Wait a minute. That's actually as that, because we don't have a subject here. Okay. But if we succeed, we should be... We didn't get... Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, we didn't change his team. So the goblin, we will turn the goblin undead, and then they will attack us again. Okay, let's do this. So, oh, look at that, no. An exception. Okay, random choose. Yeah, that has done some bad things, but I want to be able to do... I don't want the new undead to be against me, so the team should be the actors team. Right, to builder. Cool. Now for this exception. Action 142. Action. Okay. 284. apply function. Oh, finish throw thrusting. 16. Ah, okay. So what happens here? I turned the goblin undead, and so there's an artificial intelligence behind this. So whenever like you see an exception here, it's very possible that the exception is coming from far ahead. So like for example, I just turned the goblin undead, but by doing so, the next thing that happened was like, oh, we need to find out what the other actors are thinking is going to happen. And so that's what happened, that they were like looking ahead, and one of the things that one of the actors was kind of thinking about was that someone is throwing a thrusting weapon at someone else, and for that, when this happens, we are getting all the living parts and we're getting all the living parts, and then we choose from that. And here, for some reason, we got 0 living parts. Okay, I have a feeling that maybe this is not doing what it's supposed to be doing. Let me see how I use it in different places. So is torso in vital? Torso should be vital. I hope it's vital. Yeah, it is vital. Weird. Oh yeah. This is what I see. This is unfortunately another place where it's pretty easy to do to make errors. So here I changed, right. Raised builder. Yeah, I just like I changed this thing, but I did not actually apply it to world, and that raises the question, why doesn't this do it for me? But let's not. So corpse ID. All right. So now it should work. Okay, so we said with an orc, this is the orc, so I'm not gonna. Orcs are harder to kill, so I'm gonna stand ground, and then I'm gonna counter attack, and this time, so this is the goblin. I succeed. And I thrust. Right, this time he leaps back, but he's too slow. I bore through his left eye, and he grunts in pain. He briefly covers the wound with his hand and growls. Yeah, So he's not dead yet, and I don't want to slash his neck because then I will have an undead with no vision. We'll try that later, but I just want to kill him, and that is best done by pointing your sword at someone. I hear. So we'll do this. I thrust at the goblin. The goblin leaps backward but is too slow. I stab his upper body and he collapses dead. Cool. I will dodge this. And now I can hopefully turn undead. Please, please, please. So, success. I raise my hands over the goblin and he opens his eyes. He stands up. What? I thought... Why am I... I thought that since he's on my team, I wouldn't want to stab him to death. Also... Why is he blind? Huh. Interesting. So I'll just wait. The orc throws the sword at the goblin. The sword rams into the goblin's torso. The goblin falls backwards and twists. He hits the cold floor face down. All right. So so this is the end of the stream. So let's summarize. Today, I was able to put together to basically have the notion that actors can be both alive or animated, but also undead. And then we talked about all the other stuff, and now we have some rudimentary way to turn undead during a fight. And as you can see, the undead is on my team. So that was the last thing that I fixed. They are on my team, but they are... What still needs to be fixed is that for some reason they are way more damaged than before. So I have a suspicion that at the point where I kill a humanoid, I will like kill all their body parts. It's possible. And then I also learned that once the orc sees his friend goblin being turned undead, they will ram their sword into the goblin's torso, and then the goblin dies again. But that's pretty cool. I like it. So anyway, yeah, poor goblin, right? So let me check the wow, there's a lot of sorry people for not replying that much for all your cool questions. Hopefully, I think maybe 80% of them I got. I will get to these maybe later by just replying to them in text. Yeah. Anathos is a crazy idea, but let me see. When you try to raise an undead, they have a small chance of becoming your enemy. You try to raise a boss, but he has a great willpower and will... yeah, that's definitely an option. That was actually... Yeah, that's a good failure state. It would suck, but it would be a good, like, critical... critical failure to raise someone and then get attacked. That was how, like, the one of the options for starting the game is actually exactly this. Like, you start the game trying to raise someone from the dead and they turn against you, and so that way we can have a fight pretty early on. But I think I moved it to something else. Having it as a mechanic might be fun. It might be a little frustrating, but I don't know. Maybe I'll try that. So thank you. That's a good one. So anyway, I'm really glad that this worked out. I was really worried at first because you don't want to know. There was a lot of trouble with everything setting up. I think I did pretty okay in terms of like what I wanted to do, and I know what to do next. And I'm really excited to do more of these streams. Thanks for the support, and I hope you log on next time. If you don't, by the way, I won't don't feel bad for me, because I really this is for me also a really good motivation to do this, and it's a good way for me to kind of try to explain all these things, and by explaining those things I learn them better, and I also am better at explaining. And this is one thing that, this is such a weird, the whole gamebook stuff is pretty new to many things, and I need to be better at explaining why it's something different than most people expect it to be. So thanks again, and I think by clicking over here I can stop the stream. See you next time. Again, Friday, 10 a.m.